Hello, everyone. I am Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney, and I'm the owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith, where our mission is to empower women through estate planning. So, welcome to another episode of Women Winning Wednesdays. Through our guests and educational content, my hope is to give you glimpses of what an empowered woman is and the tools needed to win. As a reminder, I'd like you to give StreamYard permission for us to view your comments, and especially since we're going to be taking comments or questions today. So visit StreamYard.com/Facebook. That's StreamYard.com/Facebook. If you catch this on the replay, do me a favor and put hashtag replay in the comments. Just hashtag replay just to let us know that you got it on the replay. I want you to share this live episode with those you know. Let's spread the word about Women Winning Wednesdays, and I would appreciate your help in doing so, since we're aiming to give content to as many people as possible. Since we began Women Winning Wednesdays, now it's been over a month, if you can believe it. We've had some amazing and inspirational guests. In today's live, I want to take a look back at a couple of those guests and give you some highlights that seem to resonate with a large number of you. And of course, as stated in the advertisement, I'm here to answer estate planning questions as well. Keep in mind that the information I give today is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as legal advice. There, the disclaimer's out of the way. So let's get started. Thank you to folks who emailed questions to the firm at info@elsawsmithlaw.com. And of course, during today's episode, you are welcome to type in your questions in the comments. So you'll remember our very first guest, real estate broker Tina Marie Marshall. In that episode, we talked about her journey from real estate agent to now owning her own real estate brokerage company. One part of that interview really hit home for many of you, and that's when we started talking about why owning real estate was so important in your estate plan strategy. Now I'm going to cut to just a really brief clip of that interview, but here's what Tina Marie had to say about that. Take a listen. Tina Marie, now you know what I do. I do wills and estate planning for a living, and most of the people that I serve are, many of them are women. They are homeowners, and some of them are saving to purchase their first home. Can you talk a second to the women that are listening, like how important is having real estate as an asset, and what can that do for you in terms of empowerment?
I tell anyone that I talk to, real estate can change the entire trajectory of your life and your family's life. The legacy that you leave behind will be based on the assets, not just physical assets, but if you're able to leave them, less stress, less worry, that's half the battle. Being able to start to plan for what we do with this asset. I can't tell you how many calls I get from women, particularly, who are saying, my mom just passed. Can you help me? What do I do? Can I sell her house? And I have to say, no, I can't help you sell that house because it has to go to probate first, because generally they don't have wills. They don't have paperwork in place to determine what we do with those assets. But I will say that these assets, this real estate holds up the entire economy globally, not the stuff that we buy, in the stores. E-commerce is one part of that. Real estate determines what happens in the world, in the world's economy. That's what drives it. To be an owner, to be a piece of something so great and so huge is not just simply a place for you to have a roof over your head. That's the basic need. But the bigger picture is that you can be a part of being a part of, what happens in our community as far as economics is concerned. When you pay taxes, you have a voice. When you pay taxes, you can call your local council people. You can say, hey, I want my roads cleaned up. Hey, I want to make sure that this trash is not dumped in my backyard. You have a place to be able to say, hey, I'm a taxpayer and I'm going to hold you accountable, council person, this person. So real estate is not just a place to live. It is a ticket to be able to have a seat, that proverbial seat at the table, to be able to be a part of those conversations and not just be subservient to it being a renter. During COVID, it was power in everyone who owned a home didn't have to pay their mortgages, period. The banks didn't ask you for anything. They simply said, tell us that you need help and you don't have to pay until we figure this thing out. The people who were in rental situations did not have that power. It's huge. The banks are working with people to help keep them in their homes. When you are a homeowner, the bank wants you in your home just as much as you want to be there. So that is life changing, as opposed to, okay, your rent is not paid on the 1st, you're past due on the 5th. Now you have a huge late fee, and now you're going to get filed on the court, ruining your credit and everything else. So it's much bigger than just being, for the sake of being a homeowner or just to say you have a house. You're a much bigger part of a global solution. So
excellent information, Tina Marie. Okay, everyone. I remember that interview fondly. Excellent interview and great information there. And like I said, that what Tina Marie had to share really resonated with many of you. And I wanted to share the first question that we've received so far, or that we received before the airing today. And it is, let me go ahead and put it on the screen. Okay. Should I add my child's name as an owner to my property or the deed to my home? My response, quite frankly, is that, many people mistakenly believe that they can avoid creating an estate plan by just putting their child on the deed. And I want to give you some reasons why you may want to rethink that. The first of which involve title issues. Adding a child's name to a deed gives them an ownership interest in your home or in that property. And as a result, you can't sell the home or refinance the mortgage without your child's permission. So technically, speaking, your child could even sell his or her share of the property without your consent. The second problem, are creditor issues. If your child is on the deed to your home, then their share of the home, their interest in your home, may be subject to creditors' claims. Now, this includes claims from like credit card companies, lending companies, etc. Your home could also be at risk if your child is required to pay, say, criminal restitution, for example. The third reason why I want you to just reconsider this as a strategy involves divorce claims. If your child goes through a divorce, the court is required to divide the parties' property equitably, right? So if your child is on the deed, then your home is technically your child's property and it's subject to the division, by the court. So your child's soon-to-be former spouse can be entitled to a share of your home. Now, many of us think that that's never going to happen to our children, but we all know that divorce rates are really high. So adding your son or daughter to the deed, in my opinion, is not worth the risk. Another reason why you probably don't want to add your child to the deed involves bankruptcy. Now, if your child files for bankruptcy, the bankruptcy court may be entitled to that share of your home. So remember, by placing their name on the deed, you're gifting them a share of the property. So, as a result, your child's share of the home can be sold to satisfy their debts. So great question. Thank you for the submission. Now, our next flashback involves the amazing Northwestern Mutual financial advisor, Sharon Fletcher. Now, I said that, when you're creating an estate plan, you want a team of professionals around you. So that team should consist of, yes, an estate planning attorney, a CPA or a tax attorney, and a financial advisor. I was moved by Sharon's passion for helping others and empowering them to leave a financial legacy for their families. With so many financial advisors out there, I wanted to know what sets Sharon apart and how she helps, people like you and me start that wealth building process. And before I cut to the video, I want to remind you to give StreamYard permission to view your comments. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. That's StreamYard.com/Facebook. And here we go with the clip with the Sharon Fletcher interview.
Being in this industry just seems like it's been a short time, but the wealth of information I'm able to provide to our people, helping them build that multi-generational wealth. I am literally their strategic partner. As in, when I sit down with a client or a prospect, I am literally their thought partner. So they have all these ideas, and then I have the knowledge of how to get there. So
I want to delve into that a bit more, because how exactly do I come into your office, I need help. Describe just briefly, what are some of the strategies that you use in, helping me create a strategy if I have none?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think financial advisors, and hopefully if any advisors listening to me today, it's important that as advisors, we listen to the prospects and the client, as in meeting them where they are. I think sometimes we have this notion of, we have an idea, we have a product in mind that we want to push, to a client or to a customer or, prospect. But if you don't understand what situation they're in, what their dreams are, I mean, you be selling them a product that they probably don't need. I think it's important for us to listen. So one of the things I do is I ask probing questions, because I want to hear the emotions. I want to hear why they want to build that multi-generational wealth. I want to know everything about their life, as in their children. Is there anything that could happen in their life that could affect their trajectory? As in, what if they have, an ailing mom that they have to look after? Because all this affects the financial plan. But if you're not asking questions to understand the whole financial picture, you just get to be more of a product pusher rather than being client-centric, right? So every time I get into a meeting, this is what I'm thinking. Be client-centric, right? And product agnostic. Because the product is really honestly a means or a solution to their problem, but you need to understand where they are. So when it comes to us doing financial planning, we call it a holistic financial plan. I'm looking at all the areas of your life, because some people think when you sit with a financial advisor, they're thinking, oh, they're just here to manage my investments. Who would have thought is one thing? Your investments is not a financial plan. It's just one piece of the puzzle, right? As in, you got to look at the whole financial picture, because if one aspect of your life is broken, it's going to affect the whole financial picture that we are drawing, right? Right. If you are earning income and all of a sudden the income is no longer because of a disability, for example, that's a problem. Then financial picture doesn't make sense anymore because there's no money coming in. And so this is where I want to differentiate myself from others. I want to be that listener, as in sitting down with clients or prospect, understanding where they are, where they want to go, and how do we get there.
Wonderful. Great words and great advice or insight from financial advisor Sharon Fletcher. I want to move now to the second question that was submitted, and this is a two-part question. And let me go ahead and put it on the screen. Says, I have my 10-year-old as a beneficiary on my life insurance policy. Is that a problem? And the follow-up is, how often should I review my insurance documents? Great question, and one that I get in various forms often. In many jurisdictions, let me backtrack a second. If you die while your child is still a minor, they may not be able to receive the proceeds of your life insurance policy immediately. Okay, and here's why. There's several reasons. Okay, in a number of jurisdictions, state law requires that a guardian be appointed to administer to handle the proceeds payable to that child. If a guardian is not already in place, the matter has to go to probate court to appoint a guardian, and that person is the one that's going to administer the proceeds, like I said. Once a court appoints the guardian of that child's estate, that guardian is going to control the money for the minor's benefit until they reach the age of majority. And what that age is depends on state law. In addition, if you've got, say, a special needs child, or inheriting funds from you may put their government benefits, if they're receiving those benefits, it can put those benefits at risk, and it has the potential, at least, to disrupt the care and support programs that they depend on for their daily living, their daily care. A couple of proposed solutions to that issue. One is, if it's allowed in your state, to set up an account under the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. The account is usually created at a bank, and a trustee is selected to administer that fund until the child is somewhere between the age of 18 and 21. And what the age is, again, will depend on your state's laws. And then those funds are just given to the child, right? Another option is, and one that my clients choose quite often, is to create a trust. Now, a trust creates a bit more control over how those assets can be used. You can create or specify certain conditions under which the funds would be dispersed. A trust can be established to receive and manage those life insurance proceeds that we talked about on behalf of that minor child or that person with special needs. In this case, the trust would be the beneficiary of the life insurance proceeds. Now, I want to answer the follow-up question that was asked. Now, how often should I review my insurance documents? The answer is that what I'm going to give as the answer applies not only to life insurance policies, but to all estate planning documents. You should review them when there's a major life event, such as a birth, a death, divorce, and adoption, for example. Otherwise, I recommend that my clients review their plans at a minimum every 2 years, but I say every 2 to 3 years. That's just a good idea to put eyes on them. Clients of our firm get a courtesy call from our office about every 2 years, just checking in to see if anything's changed and to see whether we need to have a follow-up discussion or anything needs to be tweaked. The estate planning, and thank you again for the person that submitted that question. That's another one that I get quite often. When we talk about estate plan, usually the entry point for a lot of people is, they start asking about wills. And it can seem a little overwhelming. I want to make that process a lot less overwhelming. And I've created a free will preparation checklist that I want to offer to this audience. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Here we go. There. It's a free will preparation checklist. Just gives you a lot of things to consider before you even go to make that consultation to talk with an estate planning attorney. And you can get that free checklist, wait for it, there at that link. I'm also, and don't worry if you don't write down the link right now while you're watching this live. I will make sure and put that link in the comments. So those of you who are going to catch us on the replay, you'll see the link in the chat and in the comments. So this, again, it's a free checklist. Anyone that can go to that link, you'll be able to download it. No cost to you whatsoever. So it's a free will preparation checklist. And I want you to take advantage of that. And again, it's just to make the whole process of putting a will together a lot less overwhelming. And I want to say that if we didn't get to, let me check and see if, okay, great. We do have a question. All right, let me put that question. What's the first step in establishing a trust? Great question. One of the things is determining what you're going to place in the trust. What the purpose of the trust is. That's usually the first step, determining what the purpose is, what you want to place in it, and then from there we can talk about actually moving things into the trust and creating. Well, let me backtrack a second. Creating the terms of the trust, who's going to be a trustee or trustees. And then once the trust is actually created and executed, then we move into actually, moving assets into the trust. But great question. And I'll check to see if there are any more. Seeing none. If we didn't get, for those of you who submitted questions via email, if we didn't get to your comments or your questions, I will try to get to those questions in a future live airing. Let me close this. And we started this episode by taking a look back at a couple of the amazing guests that we've had on Women Winning Wednesdays. And we're going to continue to bring you quality content at no charge to you, because that's part of the mission of this firm, is to empower women through estate planning. We have content that we offer on our YouTube channel. We have an entire library of videos free and available to you at Elsa W. Smith Law. We've got our website at elsawsmithlaw.com. And let me put my information on the screen. That's how you can get in contact with us. If you want to have a conversation and start putting a strategy together for you to actually leave a legacy and not leave a legacy of chaos, but one of empowerment for your family and the institutions that you care about. So reach out to me at 410-995-7719. Let's have a conversation about this. The 2021 is the year to get it done, right? In closing, I'd like to say thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for those who submitted questions beforehand and here on the live. I appreciate you so much. Again, if you catch this episode on the replay, make sure and put hashtag replay. I'm going to one last time put the free will preparation checklist link here on the screen before we tune out. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week on Women Winning Wednesdays. Take care and be well. I'll talk to you soon.